Hey, folks, thanks for being here. Please like and subscribe our videos and our content. Leave a good review if you like what you're seeing. As we grow, we're looking to be more interactive with our fans, so feel free to leave a comment letting us know your thoughts, your predictions. Tell us we're dumb for our predictions, whatever. Also, follow us on our Twitter account at the Catican Pod for any updates.
Speaking of updates, Saturday night, big game.
Oh yeah.
But also here, the Catican is going to have a featured guest, the biggest guest we could possibly get.
Guys.
Biggest Kentucky fan, people are saying.
Guys.
Uh,
Come on.
the
I'm part of the
the
show.
the handsomest man in the world, according to his mom.
Not a guest. I'm a host. I appreciate it, but we can't plug me. I'm on every episode. Did you
I
guys
hear
do this
he's
whole
got
thing
the
for
best
me?
takes. He's got the best takes.
That's what they say.
No, not
The
Jared.
takes I'm most interested in hearing, at least.
Thanks, guys. We really recorded this whole thing just for me.
Just for Jared.
I appreciate
No,
it.
Jared. We'll be on the Twitter page. If you follow us over the next few days, there's going to be directions on how to become a participant in the show. Or I'm not exactly sure what we're planning on doing to have call in or text machine or whatever, but get some real time audience feedback
So they can
integrated
call
into the
in
show.
and they can talk to me.
The real person they want to talk to is Braden, and he ain't even here. He's too busy being on the West Coast.
So you're telling me that if they follow us on Twitter at the Catican Pod, they could be part of the show and they get to talk to me and the other three on the show?
That's what I'm hearing.
That's what I'm telling you.
That's what they're saying.
Per source.
That sounds unbelievable.
I heard about it on Burner.
So yeah, just follow us on Twitter at the Catican Pod, and you can be on the next episode of the Catican.
I like to get a bunch of men together.
Okay.
Men that are the hardest of the hard. And I want to be with these men.
It's the Catican, and well, it had to happen eventually. Kentucky loses 70-66 to the Clemson Tigers. It's overreaction season. Fellas, how are we feeling?
Not overreacting. I mean, I said that this is one of the two I was most worried about, and for good reason. I mean, it's a 4-point loss. It's not the end of the world. It might seem like it, but there's so much you can improve on, and to only lose by a couple buckets in a quad one road game. Yeah, okay. I mean, it's not the end of the world, but it seems like it to some people.
Yeah, without our seemingly most important player as well from too long. I rewatched it without being in the emotional state of watching a UK basketball game, and I came away from that rewatch like a lot more optimistic. We kept a pretty decent pace. We definitely were slower than usual, but that was Clemson playing hard hitting, friendly whistle defense, and it was abysmal. The shooting percentages were abysmal. I think that really the only thing was like, why don't you put somebody else out there to shoot some shots?
Who would you have put back out there? You talking about Brea?
Yeah, specifically.
He couldn't get his shot off, and when he gave up on a couple of shots that he could have had, I think that's why he didn't play later on. He had a couple looks where he tried to get it. Like he tried to do a little step back sidestep. I just don't think he could get a shot off last night. I don't think Pope forgot about him, like it seems to be insinuated in a lot of places. But I don't know that it would have made that big of a difference, honestly. It's a 4-point loss. Like I'm just not. I mean, down on it.
We even hit our I mean, what were we?
Hit your foul shots and you
23.
win the game. There you go.
Yeah,
How
hit your
about
foul
that?
shots. You win the game. Hit 2 threes.
Anywhere near your normal
Yeah.
3-point percentage.
I'm saying with that aside, hit your foul shots, you win the game going. Well, how
Yeah.
many did they miss? 7? Yeah. I'm not saying hit all of them. Just hit the ones you do get. You know, they only shot one more foul shot than us for the foul discrepancy. It wasn't all that crazy different in foul shots.
Ben,
Yeah.
how you feeling? How you feeling about the game, Ben?
Sort of like Caleb. I'm optimistic. I mean, obviously not fun to watch a loss, but as you were watching people react to the game in real time, people were saying, we can't buy a shot. Oh my God, the offense, what's happening? Why are we missing our free throws? But I kept just saying, yeah, and we're down a possession, and we're playing awfully. And they're like, I haven't rewatched yet. I felt in the moment like they were getting a friendly whistle. I'll on rewatch see if I still feel that way when I'm less emotionally involved. But if everything is going wrong and you're still within a possession, again, obviously the L sucks, but that's encouraging. It's not like you were out of it. It's not like you were down 20. It's not like you were giving up huge runs. The whole game long we were right there in it.
There was a big part at the near the end of the game where there were 2 different shots that were wide open for Otega away. They just happened to not go down. And if he makes one or both of those shots, I think we see a different outcome to the game. Now, does that make us a better or a worse team that Otega misses those specific ones? Probably not in the grand scheme of things. That I don't think Otega Owe making or missing a single shot in that game says anything about how good of a team we are right now or how good of a team that we're going to be. It's just basketball is a game of runs, and we just didn't hit our shots in order to go on our run there. Good for Clemson. I don't think this is a bad loss, and I don't think that this holds any real weight or shows any sort of concerns that we'll have going forward. On to Gonzaga,
Yeah, I think. Oh, go ahead, Ben.
One thing to note is that, and people get frustrated with Ken Palm all the time, especially early in the season. We improved in Ken Palm. We started or went into that game as his number 12 team. We were number 13 after Georgia State. I guess some other team shifted around. We moved up to 11. I think our defensive efficiency improved. I mean, it's not, like I said, it's not like there aren't good takeaways. An L always sucks, especially your first one.
Yeah.
But our defense played well. As terribly as we feel like our offense played, especially relative to what we've seen, the stats are remarkably similar for us and for them. We held them, a pretty good Clemson team, to exactly what they held us to. So
we had
Yeah.
to have
that's positive.
a almost historically bad shooting night for them to have kept us where they were. Because, yeah, defensively, I think that was the main takeaway from the game was when I did the rewatch was we look good on defense. People were talking about Kerr like being bad at defense and all this stuff, and it's like, no. I think what happened when Kerr got in the game is he tried to draw fouls, like a lot, which is works sometimes. So it doesn't work in that environment, but then it's like the offense didn't get early shot clock looks. It didn't run like it was supposed to run. If we have 10 more minutes of Butler, we win this game by 10 with his plus minus.
He was cooking in the beginning of the game.
Yeah,
he was cooking. We were going to him.
I mean, we were really great for the first 15 minutes of the game, and then they got 11 rebounds in the last 5 minutes of the first half. That's insane. And it was also Butler wasn't out there. And then the second half comes up, and the first 10 minutes, we outscored them in the second half. What?
By 3.
By 3.
Yeah, you're down 7.5, lose by 4. And really, that's his Butler shot at the end.
22 points came in the first 10 minutes of those 36 points.
Yeah.
And that was with Butler until he fouled and had his fourth.
I will say there were times in the game where it didn't seem like we really were hustling all that much. And I mean, what is rebounding other than the biggest hustle stat there is
Yeah.
for just being in the right position and stuff like that. Where it just seemed like Clemson was just fighting harder than we were. There was a part where I think Kerr was driving to the basket. It looked like he got fouled. They didn't call it. You can't bank on that. But where the ball was just on the floor and you just have Kerr just sort of on the ground looking at it, and then two Kentucky players just sort of staring at the ball there. Meanwhile, Clemson's running after the ball and they get to it, and then they get transition too.
Yep.
You can have a game where you don't shoot well. You can have a game where you're not rebounding or hustling all that well. You can't have them both together because that's going to be a loss.
It was equal on rebounds. I get what you're saying. I think defensively, like the lack of steals was a big one. 'Cause we do typically get a bunch of steals on some bang outs, like pick six type steals. They only had 8 turnovers. And I agree with what you're saying. And it felt like that too, but it is remarkable. It was exactly 44 each, 29 defensive rebounds, 15 offensive. It's just, but they definitely seem to get the hustle plays. And they're fired up. That crowd they were excited. It was lit. I mean, that was a real hostile environment. It was loud.
Do you think the lack of steals is due to the pace of play that they got us out of the pace that we like to go at?
How far off was the pace? I'd be curious.
We had 7 less possessions than we usually have.
That's not that
so
different.
right at about 10 to 12% less game.
But for them, is it similar for them, or do they kind of play?
It's very they played the game that they usually play.
Okay, that makes sense. They didn't score a bucket for the last 5 minutes of that game yesterday. They got some foul shots, but
also they hit some really lucky shots.
That bank three.
Yeah.
That's the one that comes to mind. Yeah. But again, I'll be real. Kerr wasn't good last night, but it seemed like
he wasn't awful though.
He was pretty. I would classify it as awful. He was really bad.
So it felt like when Kerr was in and that group was in, they were anticipating foul calls, and that would either turn into a turnover that they're the half second it takes for them to be like, what the heck? Why wasn't that a foul or whatever? The Clemson offense has already crashed. It has already passed half court. That happened several times when Kerr was running it. And then there was it felt like aiming for foul calls. Like he was trying to draw fouls. That was 7 or 8 of his possessions, which is a significant amount. Was him trying to draw them, and it worked twice, and then it didn't work again. And it was not consistently called. Zachary and Kerr were getting completely different treatment on how much freedom of movement you could have, which, it's a road game. It's just how it goes.
Yeah.
But I will say they like how we like to push the ball down the court, especially with Kerr out there, that if they make a basket, we're just immediately just gunning down the court. They had a man on our guard the entire time to keep us from pushing the ball up the way that we wanted. So we're going to have to adjust. And we have the staff that will. I think we have a staff
exactly.
that can make adjustments to that. I haven't seen anything in that game that it seems like a red flag for the season. In a way, I think it's good. I think it's a learning experience.
One thing I mentioned, or I think I mentioned when we did our preview, is that Clemson is pretty bad in terms of transition basket point for possession. But they are very, very good, among the best in the country, at limiting transition opportunities. So when you ask about why we didn't have steals, why we didn't have those breakaways, that's something that their system, whatever it is very good at preventing. They play 90% of their possessions, defensive possessions, in the half court, which is crazy high. And I think to some extent the early fouls, especially on Butler, took away from our ability to get steals. He gambled less. Oweh ended up with 4 fouls. I think that probably kept him from stealing in the same way he usually does. So So I think a lot of that was a big factor. I promise I'm not going to sit here and just complain about the whistle the whole time because I think the way things were called was bad for us and made things difficult to play through. But I don't think that it was necessarily they got all the calls and we got none. I think some of it was just the times that it was less a consistency issue between the teams and more a consistency issue between phases of the game. I mean, we had them with 8 fouls super early on, first 10 minutes. So I was thinking, wow, we already had them. We're wearing the bonus and we're going to be shooting free throws. And then they just didn't call any fouls for the next 20 minutes, the second half of the first half and the first half of the second half. And so that's a period of time where we've got Butler out. They're not calling fouls on anything, but we're not playing with him anyway. So I think that really affected our game flow too.
Yeah, the when of the fouls was big for sure.
Who? Because our offensive motor is apparently the guy that people thought we only got because he was really good at defense.
Last night he was. I mean, he hasn't been that every game, but yeah, I get what you're saying.
Yeah, it's more so recently. I think he's gotten a lot more confident. He's taken a lot more shots the last 3 games than he did in the first 4.
You can drive
a
the
lot
ball
at the rim. Mm-hmm. I mean, his curls. He runs like a slot receiver, and just makes that route to the basket just look very pretty. And it's a speed thing though, because he's not very big. It's got to get to it quickly, or you're going to get stuffed, which is
right.
kind of rough to watch. But yeah, I mean,
would you also say that he pumps and he shops?
he does.
I've heard he does both of those things
for sure. I think
I'd say who did come to play. Jackson Robinson
mm-hmm.
through stretches of that looked really good.
Defensively, especially, I thought.
And he played like the whole game almost, right? 35 minutes, yeah.
35.
Yep.
Yeah. And he had an assist that was like, I don't even know how he like toe tapped the baseline and got it out to Ortega. Actually, Ortega might have missed that shot, but that was very insane athletic ability that he showcased there, and it was very. I watched that like 3 times. I wore my back 15 button out on YouTube TV. Yeah, he played a lot.
I'm having a little bit of frustration with the way that the fan base is taking it. I didn't know that people legitimately thought that we were going to go undefeated this year. And a lot of people seem to have a genuine misunderstanding or a fundamental misunderstanding of how Pope's offense works, other than just we be shooting threes. Because when people are saying, I don't know why we're running the ball through Amari so much, or why is Amari handling the ball so much, that is the offense.
At the top 5, exactly. He literally,
Well,
thank you.
So I think I actually like that we took a day because I got to listen to everybody's takes, their horrible in real time takes on all the shows, all the popular shows. We don't have a guy that can go get a bucket. We don't, Amari's whatever. Why is he running? It's like, he is the distributor. What I think they saw was the 2 times that he dribbled from the top of the key without turning his back, and he got turned over. And that's just like, it's brutal to watch a very not point guard person try to dribble to the basket like that without it being leveraged some way. And maybe that is just like, but
they played really physical too. I mean, they, the foul calls were within 5, both like it was 20 to 15, but they were super physical, and I felt like they missed a lot of calls. The calls aren't why you win or lose a game, honestly, ever, in my opinion at least. They had the opportunities. They I mean, turnovers at the top. It's because every game up until here, but Duke aside, but you win that game. Nobody cares how you win that game against Duke, right? But every other game has been against the Westerns and Jackson State and teams like that, where you win by 35 even on a bad night. So this looked drastically different. It feels like than the other games, but really, this is what quad one games are going to look like. Like this is that's college basketball, right? Like that's
especially
across the
road
country.
games.
Yeah, road games, neutral game. I mean, really, yeah, exactly. Like games against, similarly, when I say similar, 1 through 50, like top 50 teams, it's going to be tough. They're a good basketball team. Is a good crowd. I mean, there's not a whole lot to say other than on to the next. I'm not glad you got the first one out of the way, but it was getting to the point. It's like if they win these two, when's the first one going to come? And it's going to be.
You know what?
I knew the reaction was going to be bad, but
I kept on hearing over and over again how it's like, oh, we were the only SEC team that lost. Fuck the SEC. Who cares? What? Like we let the conference down. Somebody said we let the conference down. Are you kidding
I wish they all
me?
lost.
It's ridiculous.
I wish they all lost.
It's probably a little more justified because it's a challenge. It's an SEC ACC challenge like that.
But
I don't care.
Aside from that,
saying, all right.
Disney bullshit.
Aside from that, they clinched. The SEC clinched day one. We won. I mean, we being the conference won all of the games we had to make sure that. I mean, it was a front-loaded tournament, so the SEC is going to win no matter what.
Yeah,
It's ridiculous.
Do you think any other SEC fan base was rooting for us last night?
No.
not a one.
No, absolutely not.
All right, so I'm going to feel embarrassed or bad about it.
Maybe South Carolina. Just because
very
they don't
true.
win Clemson.
Very true.
But
That's
that's
But
maybe.
even then, I don't know because
I don't know. The SEC fan base is
like
there's
Louisville,
a SEC fan
Louisville,
for a
Tennessee,
reason.
right?
My God.
I don't know. Still fuck the SEC. You know, conferences are made up. It's all stupid.
I mean, so is basketball technically, but
Yeah, I know, but like for 100 years, Kentucky dealt with carrying the SEC in basketball.
True that. One narrative I thought was a little overblown was with the free throw shooting. People were just dragging the guys for missing their free throws.
Yeah.
And I get 61% is ugly as a team, but if you look at it, Owe missed 2, 6 of
Armis
8.
too.
Amari was 1 for 2. Carr was 2 for 4. Carr has been excellent from the line all season. It's not like free throw shooting is someplace where he's deficient. Butler was 2 for 3, and Kriisa was 0 for 1. And I think that was the front end of a 1-on-1, so it hurts a little more. But it's not like any one guy just botched it. The only person that's done that in any game is Amari, and then Georgia State, he went 6 for 6. So I feel like actually, as a team, we didn't shoot well, but it's not like one guy was just a liability there, which is sort of the impression you would get reading comments of people doing a post-mortem on the
so many comments. Like Carr, people were saying Jackson isn't what we thought he was going to be. Whatever, he played 35 minutes, and he is the reason that they didn't have somebody go off for 35 on 8 threes by themselves. It's like. And he also really helped the bigs in the second half when we needed to start getting rebounds. It was Jackson that was making that happen with his effort. You can tell that he is kind of the Swiss Army knife that Pope will use to make up for deficiencies during a game. And it doesn't seem like anybody understands that, especially right after the game is played. Because I don't want to hear in your post-game call talking about Jackson Robinson when he played 35 freaking minutes, played his butt off. Two more threes of his drop, and that's ball game. And they had good looks. It's just sometimes it doesn't fall. And then Carr, that like he went 1 for 7, and you can tell that people think, oh, he went 1 for 7. He did play bad tonight. He didn't play bad. Most of it, I think 3 out of those 6 misses ended up turning into assists where he got his own rebound. If you go by possession, there wasn't 6 negative possessions off 6 missed shots. They were still positive reps. So it's just, people don't watch these games or they don't know what they're looking at. I don't know. There's plenty to like still. And obviously, it's like we also have a coaching staff now that we can trust to make any corrections that they think are necessary. Lamont hurt himself in early in the second half.
Right. People were saying, why isn't Lamont playing more? Well, he twisted his ankle. Suck it up. What? No, like certainly don't. Right. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah,
Certainly
it's like the
don't do
conference.
anything to injure it more. But if he's talking to the staff and says, "Hey, I need a minute," give him a minute. It's just an insane expectation that he would go out there, or that he was just being soft. Let me sit on the bench for a little bit when he could be out there. Like it's especially knowing what we do about Lamont. Like that's not his personality. That's not who he is. He's not. Just give me a breather.
I don't want it to be that I would be critiquing anybody from saying like, "Oh, I don't care that we lost." Like I'm not happy that we lost. But it's I know it's one of those things that does make it Kentucky basketball, that the fans get worked up over a December loss. But
we're everybody else's Super Bowl, but we're also our own Super Bowl every single game.
Yeah, let's relax. We got a coach. Like we know we got a good team. They can still grow. I don't want to be playing my best basketball in December. So
right.
they'll figure some stuff out.
Until we play
one thing I wish we had the same access to this game that we had for the Duke game. I'd love to see how the halftime chat went. I'd love to see how the post game chat went. I'd love to know about practice this week. I mean, I know that we can trust the staff to respond and remotivate or get some problem areas worked out. But I'd love to see it. I want to know.
Yeah. You think they did?
I want to see Mark Pope telling these guys. I don't know. I assume they did. I mean, it's probably not going to be a 15-minute mini movie.
Yeah.
I hope they did. I'd like to be along for the journey, win or lose. That's great content.
I like that this game felt like you're going to run into one of these games in the tournament where you can't buy a basket. You might have a guy in foul trouble. You might not think that you're having a friendly whistle. And it's how do you bounce back from it? This time we didn't, but it's a learning experience because, we're probably going to have another game just like this season, and they will have been there before together.
And this could easily be. I mean, what Clemson went to the Elite Eight last year,
and
it could be a Sweet 16 team this year. I mean, this could be a Sweet 16 game on a neutral site. I like our chances. On any other night, we hit like we usually do. We win. What do you guys think about plus minus? Because
like in general, or
just like people use that as I noticed in the instant takes cycle after this game, most people were talking about plus minus.
It's the quickest way for the average fan to look and see who. But they use it it's interpreted incorrectly all the time. I don't care for it all that much. It's an easy way to look and see like generally how people played, but I don't care for it that much.
My initial comment as it relates to this game is I hope it wasn't the same people saying Amari sucks, we need more Brea, saying plus minus, because Amari was plus 16, second only to Lamont, plus 17, and Brea was minus 15.
Yep. Yeah. And then Garrison was minus 20 in 12 minutes. But that doesn't show that Garrison just sucked, because he didn't look bad in his minutes. But he just happened to be on the floor during a run.
Well, I mean, that's exactly how plus minus works. Yeah, I mean, but I thought he looked pretty bad.
Yeah. Well, one of the big deficiencies of plus minus is it doesn't inherently account for who's on the floor with you. I mean, if you could be the best player in the world and you could lose your other four to injury and you're going to get scored on and your plus minus is going to be terrible, and that says nothing about your own performance, or at least nothing that you can extrapolate from about your own performance. So I mean, not a terrible tool, but also really, really easy to look at it and read into it quite a lot of things. I mean, Owe was great. He was our leading scorer, and he was -3. And if you look at that and say, "Oh man, Owe negative plus minus, terrible," then I don't think you're getting the full picture.
Yeah.
He played for 31 minutes. Yeah. Yeah.
Right.
People.
Essentially the score.
Yeah. Yeah.
I just go off vibes. So if you guys just give me a name, I'll let you know if they had a good game or bad game.
Mm-hmm.
That's just
Garrison. He wasn't on the floor very much, but
he had a
Why
so-so
not?
game.
Yeah,
I
thought
think
he was
terrible.
Fine. He
All
wasn't
up
like a liability or whatever. I don't think that
I disagree, but I thought he got. But he didn't get rebounds. He got worked a few times on those rebounds.
Well, yeah, but he also got screwed with the lack of because that was during the last 5 minutes of the first half, and then right after that, first 10 minutes of the second half, where they had their runs, where we didn't have Butler on the court, and they were you get 11 rebounds in 5 minutes and no fouls. I just don't think that he knew what to do to counteract that situation that he found himself in. But as far as like playing defense, guarding the rim, he did well.
All right, so big picture takeaway from the game. Do we want to go around and give the, what is it, the 30,000 foot view? Is that what people say? I'm not super good with phrases. Do we want to go around and give that one? I'll say mine is a year ago we lost to UNC Wilmington at this time. About 2 years ago, might have been 3. We were in a barn burner against Yale, and this year we lost a quad 1 road game. I'll take that. Let's bring on Gonzaga.
Yeah.
Who wants next?
I'll go. Sure. Nobody gives a crap about this game if we win on Saturday. It's like the end of the world for literally hours. And then the only thing that matters is Gonzaga. I think that there's a lot to be learned from this game. I don't ever want to lose. I want to go 1-0, but I mean, it's not going to happen. And this is a team that got put together in 2 weeks and looks pretty incredible for that. And I trust the coaching staff to make whatever adjustments, learnings, whatever they need to bounce back from this one. I don't think anybody got out-coached. So that's a good feeling because that's not usually how I felt.
That's a good point.
I think perspective is important. I mean, I know everyone felt great about how the season started, and this felt like a little bit of a gut punch. But if you look at some of the teams last year, Purdue, December 1, 4-point overtime loss to Northwestern, who was KenPom top 50. But it happens. Teams lose at this point, and the season isn't over. There's no need to overreact. December 20, Connecticut lost to Seton Hall, KenPom number 50 by 15 on the road. And obviously we know that. Yeah, right. Yeah, scrubs. First round loss, and I think obviously comparing this for us to previous years, we probably lose this game worse. We may have even dropped some of the previous games, the Western game. But I also think that losses are going to come. I'd rather lose this one than to a team that we have no business losing to. I saw someone say maybe this will be our 2012 Indiana game, and that'd be great. I'll take that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I guess I would take that. Just the natty. Pope's first year.
And I
Maybe.
also
Take a humble
don't
Matty.
think that yeah. I also don't think Clemson will be talking about this, 12 years later in the way Indiana fans talk about the watch shot. But
Yeah.
Bree Dog.
Oh,
Big
I
thoughts.
think honestly, sometimes you just lose a game. I don't think there's anything really to be pulled. Like, a lot of trying to take this game and extrapolate. Like, oh, we don't have this. It's a game. You lost a basketball game. It happens. You missed some free throws. I mean, there's a million different ways you could have won the game. You didn't. The top 30 team in the net, really top 15 team in the net. You lose by 4. You on to Gonzaga. I mean, I know you say this one only matters until you beat Gonzaga, but I mean that's a tall order as well. But I feel
yeah,
fine. I mean,
or
it was
lose.
bound to
just
happen
until the Gonzaga game starts.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yep.
Then that's reflective of the entirety of the season. That game is, as far as fan base and media personalities go. Could never be me. I'm a Glazer.
It's December 4th. If you're undefeated at this point in the season, you got to be pretty elite, right, Braden?
Yeah.
Oh, we'd like to think
we
so.
want-
sure.
Do we want to debut Braden's Aggie corner? Where he gets to
No.
sound off on Utah State real quick.
No, you know why? No, because I'll do that and then we'll lose to Wyoming tonight or something. That's like I have the kiss of death or stuff like that.
Surely I'm not trying to jinx them because I'm player hating that Kentucky lost.
Yeah, I mean it's like
Certainly not.
only a handful of teams can stay unbeaten. It was bound to happen. I get it. No, it'll be cool. Our time's coming. We're not going undefeated either, bro. We got a 3-game stretch here in about 2 weeks. It's gonna be brutal.
God, what a healthy approach as a fan. We'll lose one. It'll be okay. If only every fan could feel that way.
Well, I mean, even on like we go 27-8 last year. Like 8 nights of the season, I was kind of bummed, but 27, I gotta have a good time. I gotta be all right. Like there's far fewer losses on the docket than there are wins. It'll be a good time.
Well, fellas, do we have any closing thoughts on Clemson before we move on to our Gonzaga preview?
I think they're a good ball team. I think they're better than anybody thought.
Yeah, their only loss is to a Mountain West team, so it's elite. I get it.
Yeah, but it's just the nerds like them.
Mm-hmm. No, they're a good team. I'm just kidding around, but Clemson's a good spot.
Shout out to Clemson fans for a great looking environment. That was loud on TV for sure.
Let me tell you something. That I have a slight role in because their admin contacted Utah State's students, like the herd, basically the student athletic leadership, and what was asking for insight and
So
tips
this is
into
your
how to
fault?
improve.
Yeah,
It ain't my
right.
fault that y'all can't make free throws.
That's what I hear from this.
I knew it. I wasn't even gonna say that. I told Jared that offline. I wasn't gonna say that, and then I, immediately perfect.
So we now we all know who changes
to
the A
blame?
to a E.
Don't send the Wildcats to the spectrum. Is all I'm saying. If that's the case.
Fellas, last night I had a problem. I went to check my fridge for dinner. I looked for chicken. There was no chicken. This episode of the Catican is brought to you by Tyson Chicken. And at Tyson Chicken, we pride ourselves on delivering quality that you can sometimes count on. Tyson Chicken, while technically in season in the fall, it's actually built for March. Our special slow-cooked method guarantees that by the time it really matters, our chicken should finally start showing up. Sure, it might look a little underseasoned, maybe even like the chef was just throwing random ingredients on it and hoping for the best. But trust us, it still should be good enough to bring home. It's really about the chicken after all. And if you're worried about change, don't be. Tyson Chicken has been doing the same thing for decades, and we're not about to adjust for something as silly as the modern palate. Because when you've got a reputation like ours, why bother trying anything new? Tyson Chicken, the one and done choice for chicken lovers everywhere. Fellas, we got Gonzaga coming up. Let's get into it.
Battle in Seattle.
That's what I wanted.
Yeah, when you look at their stats and everything, the team stats. It's pretty. The comparison between the two teams, it's pretty interesting how evenly matched everything kind of comes out to. Scoring offense within a couple points, 90, 92 points. The defense similar, 66, 68. Field goal. I mean, everything's very, very close. They've definitely played a better schedule. They're by far them and Duke have played really good schedules, but at this point in this, when they're playing us, I mean, they've played Baylor, Arizona State, San Diego State on the road, and that's a tough environment to win. I would say that's as good of a win as beating Clemson would have been at Clemson yesterday. That's a really good environment, and they dominated in that game. They did lose to West Virginia in the Bahamas. I always wonder with stuff like that when you do travel um, for like an MTE like that, how it can throw you off a little bit. But I mean, they've really played a pretty good schedule. Like they blasted Indiana, blasted. I mean, they crushed everybody, but the game they lost in West Virginia, and they've looked really good doing so. They've got an experienced group. Kentucky played them last year, yeah, late in the season, if I remember correctly.
Yep. We did
Okay.
play them last year in Rupp, I think.
January.
Right?
Yeah, I think it was the reason they got into the tournament because they won that game because they kind of had a shaky resume up to that point, if I recall. But no, it's a really good team. Nemhard and Graham Ike are who I'll be paying the most attention to. Ike doesn't play a ton of minutes, but he's a former Wyoming player, so I watched him for a few years. Really wanted him at Utah State, but he's very good. But he plays like sub 20 minutes, but he's really good in the post. Obviously, Nemhard is a fantastic guard, but they've got depth all the way through. I mean, this is probably the best team we've played so far. I think overall, they're probably a little better than Duke, in my opinion. We definitely gonna have our hands full, but I think it's a better matchup stylistically than what we just experienced yesterday, and that was a close enough game to where I feel we got a pretty good shot on Saturday.
It looks like similar to Clemson, they're pretty bad, below average at defending in transition, but they also allow pretty few transition opportunities. So hopefully we're able to capitalize a little bit better, get some runouts and take advantage of the fact that that's just not their strong point defensively.
They beat the brakes off of Gonzaga. I mean, Gonzaga beat the brakes off of Baylor, which I feel like is holding a lot of their water right now. I think the jury's still out on whether that is as good of a win as it may seem.
Yeah,
because I'm not too sure on how good Baylor is. What's Baylor's best win of the season? Arkansas.
At the moment,
get beat pretty bad by the Caravanless. Yeah.
Down 5 right now.
To UConn, yeah, and I'm
UConn
not
without
sure
Caravan
good at all. Yeah.
I don't think UConn's
they played
as good
4
Clemson.
quad one games, which is probably near the top of the country. They're 3-1, obviously. That San Diego State game, that one really impressed me because that Viejas was on fire for the first 10 minutes of that game. I'm talking like as good as, and that place is crazy, and it was as loud and as intense and as packed as I've ever seen it. And Gonzaga just mopped it. They just took the crowd out of it the first 10 minutes. After that, it was just ball game. And that's the game I'm going after because even the Arizona State win, like I even remember feeling kind of like, whoa, they only beat Arizona State by 8 after, wasn't it Duke that beat them by like 70 in the exhibition season that beat Arizona State like that?
Yeah.
So But that seems like it's kind of come up like that's their only loss, Arizona State is, and they have some really good wins against New Mexico and St. Mary's. But that turns out as a better win than you'd think. But again, with Baylor, with everybody really, I can't really speak to who's good and who's not. I just know how hard it is to play at Viejas Arena in San Diego State, and I know that they went in there and put in work. So that made me a believer in that team, or in this Gonzaga team. They're for real.
They also, their only loss was in overtime. So
in a game they really shouldn't have lost. They absolutely wet the bed on that one. They if I remember correctly, that was they had a lead real late, and honestly, they needed that. Like West Virginia needed the help to get to overtime. In overtime, they got worked, but they had the lead at the end of that game and should have won that game. But they didn't. So
I think
I'm like you in that
Destin.
I hope so,
because Gonzaga is a Jesuit school, which is a sect of Catholicism.
Mm-hmm.
We're coached by Pope. This is out of all of our hands.
The ultimate daddy.
But it could go either way. I don't know.
Sometimes I could beat my dad in basketball.
I'm sort of like you in that I hesitate to take too much from the MTEs, especially those played in ballrooms kind of overseas, even though the Bahamas isn't really,
especially for a West Coast
super
team.
Far. And even if it was far, Gonzaga is much farther than West Virginia is. But West Virginia also lost to, were all 3 of their games overtime losses? They were. or overtime games, but they lost to Louisville in overtime there. So I don't know
Sure did.
how
Louisville sucks. So
strong West Virginia is.
Yeah, because even
But
in the
yeah,
Arizona game, Arizona, do we know if Arizona's good? Probably not. We don't know yet, though. We'll see. 0-4 in quad one games. That's tough.
I think they might be bad.
Well, I mean, they haven't lost anybody that they should have beaten. The games they lost, they lost them pretty badly. That's the only other thing. Yeah. Okay.
So as a takeaway, I don't know about this game.
Well, and I think they
Yes.
lost because Javon Small went off on them from West Virginia. I'm pretty sure he.
Oh yeah,
Wasn't he
31
in-
points.
Is he the one that
31.
He had been to like 7 different schools.
That feels like everybody
No,
nowadays, though.
that was Davon Smith.
Oh
who's
yeah,
at St. John's.
That's a Utah guy.
St. John's.
So Javon Small, being a point guard, likes to get some shots up. Are we thinking Kirk Kriisa game?
West Virginia.
Man,
Ooh.
I honestly, this is gonna be tough on the guard. I think Nemhart's probably the best guard we'll have played, like pure guard. It's gonna be a tough game. I think they can win. I hate all these neutral site games, man. Like I wish we were playing on campuses. Not necessarily that I want Kentucky to have to go to the kennel, but then Gonzaga goes to UConn right after, or not to UConn, but to Madison Square Garden to play in like a one-off neutral site game. I would rather games be on campuses. It's a tangent for another time, but I'd love to see Kerr play better and have a bounce back game, and maybe he will. But it'd be really helpful in this game. It just seems like a tough matchup for him.
No one wants Kerr to have a big game more than Kerr.
No, you're right.
True.
He's also one. He's not going to be scared to play them.
No, not at all. He's never going to be intimidated. I don't think
Nope.
With his overseas experience and stuff. Yeah, there's no way. He just got to play a little better. That's all it is.
I like that they have Nimhard, but we have Lamont Butler. It's kind of a neutralizing effect.
Yeah, no, for sure.
They have big guys they like to throw it down to. We got Amari. Like, we certainly got answers. And they were saying on TV that that Clemson likes to run sort of the same style that Gonzaga does. Now that could scare us because we just lost the Clemson game, but we also had a terrible shooting night. So we've kind of had a couple of bad shooting games where it seems that we've regressed to the mean of maybe we were supposed to be all season. So if we can just shoot at the mean, I feel pretty good about this game.
Yeah, like I said before, I think I felt better about this one than I did the Clemson game, just because of, honestly, where it's being played. I think that'll be. I don't know how do you expect Big Blue Nation to travel to Seattle? That is quite far, but I know they travel really well other places. I've seen them in Vegas, and it was pretty packed with Kentucky fans.
I used to live in Seattle, so there's also just a bunch of people there.
Yeah, I feel like every West Coast UK fan's showing up to this game, right?
I saw more UK gear than I ever saw Gonzaga gear in Seattle. Now, it's going to be easier for Gonzaga people to travel, but I never saw anybody wear. I saw a lot of Husky stuff, UW stuff, Wazoo. I never saw a single. When I went to Spokane, I saw Gonzaga stuff. That's the only time I've ever seen it.
People were complaining about the semi-away designation that this game gets, a neutral site. Essentially it's a home game, but it isn't. Like Spokane and Seattle are 4.5 hours apart.
Yeah.
It isn't like we're playing in their backyard. So, I would still expect more Gonzaga fans there, but I also, again, it's not like we're playing. It's not. Sometimes we do these, like I think even as part of this Gonzaga series, we had a game in Nashville, maybe, and that's so much closer even to us than Seattle is to them.
Yeah, there's also more. Yeah, Gonzaga's a small school. I guarantee you, there's more Kentucky alumni in that metro area than there are Gonzaga alumni, which is crazy. But with the big tech people, having hundreds of thousands of employees that come from all over, Seattle's a weird place.
I bet the game's probably a 2 or 3-1 Gonzaga to Kentucky fans, which is remarkable considering how far away it is from Kentucky. But it'll be a pro Gonzaga crowd, no doubt about it. Like it'll
What
be heavily
about
Gonzaga.
What's Lamont Butler's record versus Gonzaga?
I don't know. Yeah, they lost, or they got them by 10 last year. I don't really know besides that, but last year was probably the worst Gonzaga team in a while. Let's see.
He does.
I don't know. At least one. He's gotten one against them, but
I think he's only played him that once.
yeah, I think you're right.
Dang. You would think they're both basically the same place, right? San Diego and Spokane, Washington.
Yeah, I mean, just totally opposite ends of the country, but that's fine. Yeah, that's gonna. I mean, it'll be good. I still wish it was. I think it'd be cooler if it was being played at a home arena versus a neutral site. But I digress.
You think Tyson's chicken for that?
For neutral site games?
For that neutral site game.
I'd love to know the financials of the payouts for those neutral site games, especially how they compare to home games, or even a home and home. Although I assume you kind of, because you're committed to being away, then you're only getting sort of half over 2 years what you expect. But
Yeah,
I was thinking about that as it relates to like NTEs maybe in the future. With this rev share, are we going to have the flexibility to go back to Maui or some of these? I assume they get great sponsorship for those, but also Maui was pretty crowded. Some of them were just empty.
Yeah, a lot of the neutral site games are mostly empty. The premier ones, obviously, for the big games, you'll get them, but the opening games in most of them, it's pretty dead. But one other aspect of that too is how it relates to the net, since neutral sites have different net requirements for the quads than home or away. So I think it's kind of that has to play some sort of role into it. I would imagine. I mean, it does. I don't know that it affects the decision making, but it is something that does change the narrative around each of those games.
Got to rip out the Seattle Supersonics jerseys.
Forget about songs.
I guess the spread hasn't opened yet on the Kentucky Gonzaga game. Because I'm not seeing it.
What do you guys? What's your predictions?
For the game or the spread?
Spread.
It's gonna be Gonzaga favored by 3, I bet.
I was going to say 2.5.
I was going to say 4.
For what it's worth, Torvik has Gonzaga as a 3 to 4 point favorite. Ken Pom has him as a 6 point favorite. So somewhere in there. It's amazing as the season has gone on, the spreads have really kind of converged, pretty similar to what some of the analytics sites have.
Yeah.
Weird.
My prediction: Cats by 15.
Sheesh. All right.
Like it.
No, I
Kobe
love
Bryant,
that. Yeah.
7 for 10 from 3.
Be sick, man. I'd love it.
Last time we played a big game, I predicted us to lose. So I feel like it is my duty to say that give me the Zags by 5.
Did you predict us to lose to Clemson, or you didn't think that was a big game?
We didn't do predictions on Clemson.
We did, actually.
We did?
We did, yeah. But right here, we all wrote win and by how much and who the
Oh
MVP
man.
So I am embarrassed.
My bad.
I will be editing this out.
Did I say
That's
Butler
fine.
was going to be the star of the show?
Said Brea 7 for 10. Oh, just
No,
for
no,
yes
you
last
meant
time. Let's see. Hang on.
I thought you were saying he said the same thing. Brea 7 for 10 every game.
I think you went Butler.
Yeah, you did.
I picked Andrew Carr. I might be the mush here, guys. That might be me. So I think, yeah, give me the Zags, and I think Andrew Nimhard drops 30. And if that's what I need to do for the Cats to get a win, that's the prediction I'll make.
And if he does, it's your fault.
There we go. It's my cross to bear.
I think Trent Noah
I'll-
gets a 3.
I like that.
Who?
I don't. I don't know that I think that's going to happen, but I like that.
Trent Noah.
Oh, that'd be big.
Okay, yeah. If they get in, it's been a good thing. If the Kentucky boys get in, it's a good thing. It's not because Kerr's playing terrible and that they're a better solution. Just for anyone who's curious about that, that's not the move. I thought I should say something. That's not the move. Kerr will be fine. I think Cats play it close, but I think they lose by 5 or 6. Honestly.
Boo.
I'll say Cats win in a close one. Single digits. Not going to say 15. I'd like to see. I'd like to see how the team responds to this loss. And we really don't know. I mean, we've seen Pope speak. We know he's a good motivator. We know this team understands the assignment. I'm just interested to see how quickly we can understand it.
I mean,
Understand the
regardless
assignment.
of
Interesting.
yeah,
Did you just think of that?
Yeah.
you know, I think
I didn't say
that
my MVP.
regardless of what happens in the game, it is a top 5 team you're playing or a top 10 team. Like it'll be fine either way. But I think it's tough. It is a back-to-back, true test. It'll be interesting to see. Are we picking MVPs? Is that what you're saying? But I have no idea.
I said
You picked
Brea's
Kobe
number
Brea.
10, but the MVP is
Oh.
Colin Chandler.
Colin Chandler's not going to see the floor, so good luck with that one. But
Hey, it's out west. That's where he's from.
Mm.
I mean,
He's only
he
going to
is,
get 3
and he's-
points, but it's going to be the 3 points.
He's
Kill
cooking.
shots.
With with a very general understanding of the West, absolutely.
Yeah, no. I love people thinking that people don't understand how far away stuff is in
Yeah,
other places.
Kentucky football's never played anywhere west of Texas. I don't understand. I would doesn't surprise me you don't know where anything is out west. Never come out here.
I mean, I do. I've lived all over there, but
You not talking about you. I'm talking about
Yeah.
Kentucky fan base. But yeah,
you don't know rural until you've been worried that your half tank of gas is not going to make it.
Ben,
Give
do you
me
have an
a,
MVP?
Yeah, give me a car bounce back game.
go.
I think for the past couple he has. I don't think he's played as poorly as his stat line would indicate. I think to some extent he's had open shots miss. I think he's been frustrated, but I think he's still one of our best players, one of the most versatile players, and great hustler. So I'll take a car bounce back game.
I like
He
it.
also looks like he would play for Gonzaga.
It does.
Yeah, a little bit.
Gonzaga does have one guy, and I don't know his name, and I'm sorry for that. But I think he's their big man, and he's a white guy with like long dark hair, kind of like goes over. He looks like a great value, Chip Holmgren. There's just some guys that just look like Gonzaga players, and he might be one of the most Gonzaga looking players I've ever seen in my life.
They pulled him out of the
if we-
woods in Canada.
We should have known about Kyle Wilcher.
Mm-hmm.
He super looks like a Gonzaga guy.
Yeah.
Braden Huff, I think, is who you're referring to. 6'10", hair in his eyes.
Yeah, that sounds so similar to Brennan Huff from Step Brothers.
It does.
Like
Oh,
I don't
yeah,
see
that- Go back.
DeMarcus
Straight looks
Cousins in Spokane,
What now?
Washington. So I don't really see like DeMarcus Cousins in Spokane.
He was in Sacramento for a long time.
Yeah. So have you been to Spokane?
Yeah.
It's just Idaho.
Yeah, fair enough. Okay. I mean,
Getting
you've
awful
been to
close,
Sacramento? It's pretty
Mm.
it's pretty similar to what you're describing. It's very similar.
Spokane is
Fellas, any closing thoughts that we got before the big mega episode we got coming on Saturday? Late night Catican.
Oh, it's gonna be super late, huh?
Oh, yeah.
What time is that game at? It's like 9:00 for y'all, isn't it?
probably like 9:00 Western.
I think it's 10 o'clock tip off for us.
Oh God, is
We're
it?
taking calls,
late?
baby.
It's at 7 Pacific, so yeah, 10 o'clock y'all's time.
Love
Let's
it.
go.
That's
Well,
late, OT.
last night was almost 10, like a 9:40 something tip.
That's fair.
Do the
Blitz.
players have to take on-campus classes?
No?
I don't think so. I think a ton do like remote class now.
Yeah, that's what I'd be doing. No
I wouldn't
commute.
be
If
going to
you
class.
Well, yeah, obviously.
my last thought, if you're still watching, let us know what you think about the Clemson game, what you think we can work on as a team. If you were Pope, what changes would you make? How do you think that could have gone differently? And let us know your predictions for Gonzaga. We gave ours. Predictions are hard. We're going to be wrong a ton. Let us know why we're stupid, how we're stupid, and how you would
It's
have
going to be
better
the
predicted
beacon
what's
of
going to happen.
insight in this comment
Rank us
section.
by hotness.
Or don't. But yeah, do though, actually. Do. And
Sounds like someone
FMK.
that is concerned about where they're going to be ranked.
oh no, top 4 easy, so I'm fine. No, that's the easy part. I'm just worried about y'all's feelings. No, I mean, I hope it'll be a good game. I'm looking forward to it. It's probably the biggest game until conference, right?
No.
No. Oh,
9 out of 10
Louisville,
dentists
real.
think Colgate's the biggest game.
On
No.
God, that was like the most anyone's ever said anything about these videos is how bottom of the barrel teams. That really got the people going. Like
It's
in a
not even
variety
like
of ways.
we weren't saying that we wanted to play like all like blue bloods and stuff like
Dog,
that.
I
Instead,
literally
it's
said
the
like Weber State or
300s.
Montana.
Let's play the 150s.
Play
you know?
Utah
North
State.
Texas, yeah.
Yeah, I got railed for. Oh, you want us to play the best teams? Dog, no, just you don't have to play the worst
But hey,
teams in the country.
we love and appreciate all of our subscribers and our
Absolutely.
commenters.
In fact, that made no, absolutely. That I'm not even complaining. I just I think maybe it got misinterpreted that I was saying we should play an NBA style schedule and that's it. Like
A gold star for each of them for sure.
Except
So
Dumbledore's
Louisville's
class
the
for
biggest
them.
game. Mark Pope's
Yeah.
first Louisville is the biggest game of this season.
it's the biggest pitfall, but there's no way in which it's the biggest game of the season. I mean, how?
Absolutely.
The vibes. For
The vibes, yeah.
Yeah, if you lose, if you win that game, who gives a shit? They're terrible, and they just lost 2 of their players, didn't they?
Yeah.
Yeah,
I think,
that game is. As a fan, I get
think-
being excited about it, but it's not. It might as well be Colgate.
So we don't spend a lot of time talking about our rivals on here, but one of the craziest things to me is that Louisville's redshirting 2 guys anyway. They've
Mhm.
got Corin out for the rest of the year, I think, with some shoulder thing he's having surgery on, and Pryor out with his ACL,
Knee.
maybe.
Yeah.
And they still have more available scholarship players than Arkansas.
Yo. Dang.
I mean, it's just an unbelievable difference in approach to roster building.
Mhm.
Doug, I bet you all these bottom of the barrel teams the last 2 years have won more games than Louisville. More to my point.
Oh,
Like
yeah.
Well, yeah, that's hardly fair. Who hasn't
Our
won
sleeper
more
agent
games than
did
Louisville?
damage.
All right. And with that, for Braden, Ben, Caleb, I'm Jared. Thank you for joining the Catican, and go Cats.
Go Cats.
Go Cats.
And Aggies.